Wait, hold on. Okay, now I'm ready. Sorry.
I feel like we always do this to each other. It's always the one not introducing that's like, wait.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Hello, welcome to I Scream, You Scream. We are your weekly scoop of the most chilling histories, mysteries, and paranormal perplexities. My name is Kathryn.
I'm Gina.
And for the month of June, we are telling stories about amusement parks while we eat churro-flavored ice cream. This episode is sponsored by Clobear Money Coach, so if you are ready to start investing but unsure exactly how to get started, go ahead and visit getlazynow.com. But until then, grab a spoon and let's dig in.
Last full episode
I was just going to say, our
Amusement Park Month.
Are we rating our ice cream today?
I think we should, because for next week's palate cleanser, I imagine we're drinking.
Yeah, as is
tradition.
the way. Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah.
So you had an actual churro ice cream. Do you have a rating for it? Do you want to go first?
I do. And I'll caveat this with I'm feeling particularly harsh today.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give it a 2.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Why?
It's genuinely just because I prefer just a churro better than churro ice cream. And every time I eat this, sure. I wish I just had a churro.
Yeah.
It is good, though. Do recommend Ben & Jerry's. Does it again. Tasty, but nah, I wouldn't buy it again.
Okay. That's fair. As someone who had a churro last night, I'm feeling generous. Well, today it's just vanilla ice cream with cinnamon sugar and chocolate sauce. Throughout the month, I've been working my way through that whiskey ice cream. Also a vanilla base, so like not that different. I'm gonna give it a 4. I would sure I would do this again if we just had vanilla ice cream for some reason and I needed to zhuzh it up. Yeah, it was good. Also not as good as a churro, of course, but like what is, you know?
Nothing is. You make a good point. You do make a good point. All right. Are we announcing what next month is today, or do you want to save that for the palate cleanser?
Oh, I don't know. Let's save it for the palate cleanser.
Let's save it for the palate cleanser.
More. Right. Come back next time.
Well, now that that's out of the way, I have some exciting news for you.
Tell me.
I learned about a very cute new baby animal this last week, and I'm going to send you a picture. It's called an aardwolf. Oh my God, it's so cute. An aardwolf, A-A-R-D wolf. I'll send you a picture. It's like if a zebra and a hyena had a baby.
Like genuinely no notes. You know
how, not the cutest little guy.
You know how people say they have 2 wolves inside of them? This is what I have inside of me. This and like a fairy are what the inside of my brain
and a fairy
look like. Yeah. No, I'm obsessed with this.
Oh yeah, that is true.
That's beautiful.
True. Oh, it's so cute.
It looks like it's wearing a little diaper.
It does.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah. So
why do you know about all these random animals?
It's partially because my mom works at a zoo.
Oh,
and also partially because my feed is just 90% baby animals because I love them so much.
Okay, that's fair.
I actually have another cute baby animal if you want to. We want to keep this train rolling.
Yeah, why not?
A South American bush dog. I'll send you a bit. Oh my God, they're so cute.
I don't know if I know that one.
It's okay. So this one is like if a bear was a puppy.
Oh my God. How hard would that be to like not try to kidnap that in the wild?
Right.
Oh, okay. That literally looks like if my dog was a bear.
It does.
Doesn't
yeah,
it?
spooky
It's
vibes, right?
Totally shaped like spooky. That's so funny.
With like the low belly and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
short
looks like
legs.
my fat dog. Aw. Okay, yeah, that's good.
I wasn't calling him fat. I just meant he has short little legs.
No, Spooky's fat as hell. I call him Fat Dog. He's my little fat dog. You should see him when he's like plopped on the cat. I'll share a picture of it with you sometime. He is like completely cylindrical. Like he's so fat. He did lose a pound, and the vet was like happy with me about it. But he could use he could lose a few more.
Boogie Boy with his snacks. I do miss Spooks.
Oh yeah, he loves a snack.
Hey, preaching to the choir, my man.
He's mama's boy.
Speaking of snacks, I have more exciting news for you that I just keep coming up with things.
Okay.
So Tom and I went to the grocery store today, and I guess it's a grocery store around here that like they do seasonal, like imported products from other countries.
Okay.
And it's Little. I can't remember if we have Little back at home. They're doing an American food section. One of my least favorite things about like grocery stores in the UK is that their American sections are not actually things that you get in America. They're like off-brand Pop-Tarts and
That's
like
what I was gonna say. Yeah.
jars of hot dogs and some nebulous liquid. Like I don't know, it's just
Hot dogs
gross
was gonna
stuff.
be my first guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew there was gonna be hot
but
dogs.
this place had legit like I got
Like
Mike
what?
and Ike's today. I haven't had Mike and
my
Ike's in
God.
years. I miss Mike and Ike's.
forgot
They
about
have
Mike and
those,
Ike's.
you know, when you're going to a party and you need to bring like a carb snack with you and you don't know what to bring, so you just grab one of those like bucket of snack mixes. They had those.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I got a bucket of snack. Just like little random things like that. They had Hanover Snyder's pretzels, honey mustard and onion. One of my all-time
Oh my God, I
favorites.
love those.
Yeah, you
those are
you
good.
cannot get them here.
Really?
Until no, you can't find them
Oh.
anywhere. I mean, I guess you could probably pay a bunch of money
Yeah.
to like get them from Amazon or something.
That's the
but
thing.
I don't
Nowadays,
do
you can
that.
get anything online.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's exciting.
that's all my exciting news. 2 baby animals and some snacks. What a good day.
Well, that's great because I don't really have anything. I am getting over an illness, so I'm not going to be saying much this episode. But I'm kind of I don't know anything about the story. Do you want to jump in? Are you ready to just go on with it? I'm
jump
very
in.
excited. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about this at all.
So I also didn't know anything about this until I started researching it. So I will be regaling you with tales of Alton Towers, which is an amusement park in Alton, England. And that was all I knew about it until I started looking into this. It turns out there is so much creepy, spooky, and also kind of gory stuff that has happened there that I had to cut a lot out to make this only one episode.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. And part of the reason behind that is that the history of Alton Towers stretches back thousands of years.
Damn.
I do have some content warnings for you today. This episode's not going to be a super gory one, but I will be talking about folklore that deals with sudden death by mysterious illness. I'm also going to briefly mention a plane crash that resulted in casualties, and we are also going to roll our eyes and point and laugh and deride someone for being homophobic. So apologies in advance. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about any of the modern accidents that have happened at Alton Towers. There are quite a few. Some of them are very, very recent, and many of them are horrifying. If you would like to learn more about those, you can find the news articles online. Just please stay respectful in the media you consume, because a lot of people, even today, are still dealing with the effects of some of those accidents. But today, I wanted to focus specifically on the folklore around Alton Towers, along with its paranormal inhabitants. And I want to start by telling you about the land itself, because, like I said, it is ancient. People have lived here and worked this land for thousands of years, dating all the way back to the Iron Age, which is like 1000 BC-ish, a little bit less than that. And we know this because we have found evidence of an Iron Age fort on the Alton Towers property, which is like the most European, it's an amusement park with roller coasters and also an Iron Age fort.
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah, that's very clearly not American.
Right? Yeah.
Everything's just plastic here.
Yeah. This land was also home to a famously bloody battle in the year 700 between the kings of Mercia and Wessex. And for context, Mercia and Wessex were kingdoms on the island of Great Britain before it became Great Britain. And they did not always get along, as evidenced by the fact that they attacked the absolute shit out of each other. And the ensuing battle was so bloody that the land that it happened on was renamed Slain Hollow for the number that were slain there.
Jeez. That's just a spooky name.
It is that sounds like the name of a book.
Yeah. Anything about a hollow, I'm like, that's
do
going to be
love a
creepy.
hollow.
Yeah.
I love a hollow and I love a holler. There was a book when I was a kid.
Oh,
I think it was called Ruby Holler, or maybe it was Ruby Hollow. Anyway, I can't remember if that book's problematic or not, so we might have to edit it out. But as a kid, I really liked it.
Isn't that so awful? Like anytime you talk about a book from when you were little, you have to be like, caveat, I haven't read it in a few decades.
Yeah.
So just hold on a second before I recommend. I know.
Modern me does not back this up.
Yeah. I'm speaking on behalf of 7-year-old me.
Yes. So this land has had a body count for a long, long, long time. Anyway, the land that Alton Towers sits on has had a lot of owners throughout its history, but for over half a millennia, it belonged to one family, the Talbots, aka the Earls of Shrewsbury. It's going to be one of those episodes. They first got the land in 1412, and its ownership passed from earl to earl in the centuries that followed, until the 18th Earl of Shrewsbury decided to open the land up to the public in 1860. And this is where its roots as an amusement park begin. Tens of thousands of people flocked to the estate to see acrobats, live music, fireworks, and to enjoy the beautiful pleasure gardens surrounding the Shrewsbury Manor House. Which I find it really fun to think about what amusement parks were before, like, roller coasters or rides or anything like that. It's so interesting.
That's how I felt when I was even just looking into the Lake Shawnee stuff, because that was not nearly as old as what you're talking about, but it was just fun to learn, like, okay, before everything was so big and grand and crazy, like adrenaline rush in like the modern age. I don't know. I like to think of something even further back than that. I'm like, that's just wild.
Yeah, just how did people get their kicks historically? And like, also, I will say, this was the time when like animal abuse was absolutely rampant in these kinds of areas. So I'm not being like faux nostalgic for it. There were obvious and horrible downsides. But it's just interesting to think of amusement parks as an institution. Like, where did that start?
That's how I feel about circuses too, though. Like, it makes me really sad about how awful circuses were because like that whole vibe of like a traveling circus back in like the 30s or whatever. I just love that. I love that vibe. But hate what was happening, you know?
Yeah, I like the idea of a box car, I think is my thing. I like getting around by rail.
Honestly, love a train. I love a train. Yeah.
Me too. Well, speaking of trains, we're about to talk about World War II, which had a lot of trains.
They did. Wow, lots of trains in World War II.
So that was a smooth transition. Anyway, so Alton Towers, in this first phase of it being kind of a tourist attraction, lasted for quite a while, but ultimately the Shrewsbury wealth began to dwindle, as we can only hope happens with all great, rich, and powerful families over time. So the family of Shrewsbury started selling off bits and pieces of the land here and there to help keep them afloat, until eventually, in 1924, everything that was left was sold to a group of businessmen who wanted to make a profit off this whole, like, visitor attraction thing. So it was still an amusement park, just not some specific rich person's house that people would go to. This era did not last very long, though, because when World War II did kick off a little while later, the estate was closed down to the public, and they turned it into an officer cadet training camp.
Weird.
Yeah. So imagine doing your military training, like your boot camp, at the 1940s version of Six Flags. That's just insane.
That'd be fun.
There's not a whole lot of information on this period in Alton Towers history because, like, military secrets or whatever. But in the 1950s, the land was ultimately returned to its owners, Alton Towers Limited, so that they could keep making that money off of the whole amusement park side of things. And in 1980, Alton Towers opened as a theme park like the ones we know today, with the introduction of its corkscrew roller coaster, which I'm told at the time was revolutionary. And that is a pun. You can take that one home with you. The original mansion actually still sits on the grounds of Alton Towers. You can still visit it. And it is said to be oh so very haunted. And when you look at it, you can kind of tell because it's it was a Gothic Revival mansion. So it looks haunted as hell. And the gardens are still there too. And there also are reports of paranormal things in the gardens. And both the mansion and the gardens are like listed historical sites in the UK. And they're just chilling in the middle of an amusement park.
An amusement park. What the hell, dude?
Yeah.
UK is so
I
weird.
know. It's so wild. Yeah, I love it so much.
I know. That's so cool.
And one of the most enduring legends from its time as an aristocratic estate is the legend of the chained oak tree. Have you heard of this before?
That sounds sad. No, I haven't heard of this.
Okay, well, I will tell it to you, and then we can decide whether it is sad.
Okay.
The story goes that on a cold, rainy autumn evening in 1821, Charles, the 15th Earl of Shrewsbury, was in his carriage traveling back from London when an old woman suddenly appeared in front of the carriage, blocking their way forward. The carriage lurched to a stop to avoid hitting her, and Charles, who was annoyed at the delay, stepped outside to see what she wanted. The woman begged Charles for a coin or two, but he refused and told her that she could either get out of the way or they would run her over. In return, she cursed him and pointed to a nearby oak tree, saying, "For every branch of the old oak that falls, a member of your family will die." Charles didn't really think anything of it. He was just like, oh, this crazy lady, whatever.
Classic.
He went home. Right? It's like the beginning of Beauty and the Beast. That's what this reminds me of. Like, come on.
It's the beginning
Have we
of
not
so
learned?
many things, but that is like
Right.
frame by frame. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where my head went first.
Absolutely.
So he kind of goes home, doesn't think anything of it. And that night, there was a horrible storm. And while the storm was raging, Charles received news that a family member had died of a sudden, mysterious illness. Charles, in disbelief, walked outside to the old oak tree, where he saw a branch had fallen onto the ground. Charles was consumed by grief and regret and vowed that he would never let the same fate befall anyone else in his family. And so he ordered that every branch on the tree should be chained together so that none of them could fall. And you can still see the chains on this tree today. It's a 700-year-old oak tree on the property with very, very old chains on it. What? Yeah, the story of how the chains got there is kind of folklore. We don't know for sure this is what actually happened. And there are variations of the story as well. Some say that it was actually an old man who cursed Charles. And there's also a common misconception that once Charles found the branch that had fallen off the tree, that he brought it back home to experiment on it. That is not true. It's actually the premise for a ride at Alton Towers called Hex. He doesn't do that in the actual folklore. It was just added by the park. But the two kind of bleed together. So some people think that it is true or it's part of the actual story and it's not.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I mean, I do feel like that's sad just because like that poor tree is all chained up and it didn't do anything.
Okay, that is fair. I was not thinking about the tree. I was thinking about the old woman getting revenge.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was thinking of the tree. And therein lies both of our personalities.
Yep. There we go. There it is.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, sad for the tree, not sad for the woman.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And Alton
wild.
Towers does use this legend to its advantage, but it is worth noting that the story of the oak tree predates Alton Towers by quite a bit.
Okay.
We don't actually really know where the story comes from, which I always find really compelling because there's not like an easy to find record of it in local lore, which I feel like is normal for, oral storytelling and things like that, word of mouth, but it's still compelling.
That's the thing. Like, if you don't know, that means it could be literally anything, and you just have to trust what people say. And like, where did you learn that? Yeah, I love that.
Big time. And one of my favorite parts of this story is that so Charles's descendants, the Talbot family, they are still alive, like they're still around. And in 2007, one of the branches fell off of this oak tree and everyone started panicking, like, oh my God, are the Talbots okay? Like, what's going on? And the family had to go on record being like, we're good. No one died. We're fine.
Yeah, that'd be scary. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Especially for such an old tree. Like, branches fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why, like, since then a lot of branches have fallen off the tree because it's an old tree and also the chains are old and so they're rusting and like not really keeping things together anymore. But it's still a really fun story and it still makes people visit the tree to this day.
Yeah, I want to visit the tree. That's cool.
I do too. Yeah. And I'll send you, we'll include some pictures of it in the YouTube video and on Instagram because it does look very spooky. There's, I think, a series of 20 stone steps leading up to this massive tree with these old ass chains hanging from it. And it's just, again, like something out of a horror novel.
Crazy.
But we are not just here for spooky trees. We are here for ghosts. And ghosts I do have. In fact, I have a poltergeist to tell you about.
Oh my God. Okay.
You know what scares me even more than ghosts? My bank account, and especially saving for retirement.
If you feel the same way about your own retirement savings, fret not, little spoons, because we've got something to save you from yourselves.
Our friend of the pod, Chloe, aka Chloe Bear Money Coach, and founder of the Lazy Investors course, is teaching women how to build wealth without turning into a finance bro. If investing feels confusing, overwhelming, or just downright terrifying, download Chloe's free investing guide at getlazynow.com.
It walks you through how to build wealth the lazy way, which I can personally attest to because I've been using her services for many years, and you all know how lazy I like to be. Effort, gross, hate it. If you hate it too, visit getlazynow.com to grab the free investing guide from Chloe Bear Money Coach. That's getlazynow.com.
After the Earl of Shrewsbury officially sold off the land, the new owner's family, the Bagshaw family, lived there for a really long time. I think the family was there for like 90 years when all was said and done. They were key in the early operations of the park, especially when it reopened after World War II. And multiple members of this family have reported very strange experiences on the grounds. So back then, and we're talking like kind of 60s, 70s, 80s era, the mansion's Great Hall was the main hub of the park. It's where the gift shop was. It's where one of the restaurants was. It was just like a really big deal from the money-making side of things. And it might still be today. I don't know. I have not been to Alton Towers, but I know that it was a big deal in the latter half of the 20th century. And that's where the family spent a lot of their time while working. And one of our first stories comes from a family member referred to as Uncle Hippo.
Okay.
Yeah, because the story is like later retold by this guy's nephew. So I'm going to refer to this guy as Uncle Hippo because that's how I read the story. But
Sweet.
I know that's not a name we can just brush right past. So
Yeah, no, that's
I just had
fantastic.
to explain. So one morning, Uncle Hippo came into the gift shop as usual, and he found that a book had been defaced. It seemed like a series of numbers were cut out of the book, apparently at random. And that, like, if you picture, you know, a stereotypical, like, ransom note, how they cut out, like, the letters and glue them together. It was kind of like that.
Okay.
But the numbers were left on the counter in order to be found. Like, it was apparent that this was something that whoever did this or whatever did this intended to be seen. And the numbers were 17, 36, 335. At first, the uncle was a little bit dismissive of this. He was just like, oh, this is just like a super weird cryptic prank, whatever. But the more he looked at the numbers, the more he felt compelled towards them. And he was curious if they actually did mean something. So he took the numbers home with him, and over the years, he would return to them every now and then to look for patterns or a code that he might have missed the first time or the first several times, but to no avail. Until nearly 10 years later, in 1977, when the Tenerife airport disaster happened. Stick with me. I know this is going to sound really out there. So the Tenerife airport disaster was when two 747s collided on a runway at Los Rodeos Airport, and it resulted in hundreds of deaths. It was an absolute tragedy. It completely reshaped the way that the aviation industry functioned in terms of communication and training. I think the most modern reference I can make to it is like if you've seen Breaking Bad, when the thing with the plane happens, they talk about this crash as like a precursor to that kind of tragedy. It, of course, made worldwide news, and the news made its way to Uncle Hippo, who finally saw the pattern in the numbers. As a reminder, the numbers were 17, 36, 335. 1736 was the flight number of one of the aircrafts that crashed, And 335 is the number of people who died on that airplane.
What the hell?
Yeah. Personally, I will concede that that is strange. I do kind of lean more towards the like, even a broken clock is right twice a day kind of thinking. I do. It's more interesting to think that the numbers were tied to the plane crash and that they always were, but I also like to be boring and realistic about it. The human brain is constantly searching for patterns where there are none because that's what we're wired to do. And if you leave a pattern out there for long enough, eventually you'll be able to tie it to something. So I'm not 100% sold on this being paranormal, but it is freaky.
I am 100%. Do you have any idea what the odds are that the exact number of digits just like mysteriously end up on the counter one day? Where'd they come from? Who did that? How did they know? I'm 100% positive this is
Those
paranormal.
are fair. Those are fair points.
There's got to be some math dweeb out there. Can you like calculate the odds for us? Because I know it's something crazy. That's why people don't win the lottery, because there's too many number combination possibilities.
That is true. That is fair. But I will say the next story I'm about to tell you, I am much less skeptical of.
Okay. Watch, I'm going to be like, no, let me show you why
No.
this is fake.
Right. We'll just swap our respective hats. It'll be fun. And really, like this next, I'm calling it a story. It's more like a series of stories that the grandma of the family has. It encounters with a poltergeist, basically. Who, by the way, the family claimed it was a female poltergeist, which I got so excited about because I love seeing female representation in poltergeist activity. I just think that's really cool.
I feel like, am I making this up? I feel like a lot of poltergeist stories, not necessarily the poltergeist itself, but is often attached to a young girl or a woman.
That's what I was thinking about the Bell Witch when I got excited about this. I was like, oh, but that was attached to a girl. But I still, and maybe this is a me thing. When I think poltergeist, my mind goes masculine. I don't go feminine right away.
Okay. And that's the thing. I don't, as into the paranormal as I am, I still don't fully understand what a poltergeist is. I understand they like move shit around and all that crap. But it's like, is it the person it is attached to, or is it like its own thing? Because I do know one thing that I have like learned is it is like the folklore or stories or history we know about poltergeists are often attached to like it's like a puberty aged thing related to like young girls. Not always. I don't want to make it sound like it always is, but that is like a common thread.
I like the idea of it being an always thing. Like, honey, you're going to get your period and you're going to get a poltergeist.
That's kind of the way some of these stories are presented, where it's like,
I like that.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, well, we can explain why this is happening because she's 13, guys. You know, like that's kind of the way a lot of them are excused. Because then it like goes away by the time, you know, they're like hormonally normal again or whatever.
I like what I'm about to tell you a lot more if I picture it's like the energy of some angry 13-year-old.
Okay. Yeah.
I honestly think it makes a lot of sense if it is. Okay. So it all started with a line of toy ducks in the gift shop. The ducks would be in one spot when the grandma closed the shop for the day, but when she came back, they would be in a completely different position. Which is strange enough, but the grandma didn't really feel threatened by it. It was more just like an inconvenience, like, oh, that's weird, whatever. But over time, her encounters got more and more unsettling. Dolls would be removed from their packaging and left sitting in the chairs of the restaurant. Ooh. She would also find the dolls covered in jewelry, almost like a little kid was playing dress up with them.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Random pages would be torn out from books and left on the floor. And one morning, she came into the gift shop to find hundreds of those little, like, green toy soldier thingies all over the floor. But they were arranged in a really weird way. All of the toy soldiers that were holding weapons were laying down on the ground. So, like, they were, you know, dead if you were playing with them. But all of the toy soldiers without weapons were still standing.
Oh, that's interesting.
I find that freaky because if it is sending a message, the message is like weapons cannot protect you.
That's exactly where my head went first. Like that is sending a strong, that's some strong nonverbal communication.
freaky. And through the
Yeah.
medium of toy. That's scary.
Everything's scarier through toys.
Agreed. That is very true.
Always. When it comes to hauntings, because it's like that weird innocent and ominous mix. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the poltergeist got even more destructive. Back then, the gift shop sold some pretty upscale stuff, like some pricey watches and things like that, and they kept those locked away in a glass display case, like the ones you see at jewelry stores. And every now and then, when the grandma would open the shop, she would see that the watches had been tampered with. And by tampered with, I mean twisted and torn to shreds in a way that would be extremely difficult for human hands to accomplish.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was like an animal with metal teeth got at them. Very freaky. And what made it even more unexplainable, as if that was not already freaky enough, is that the grandma is the only one who had the key to the display case. And she wore it on a necklace around her neck because what was in the case was so valuable. She didn't want to lose the key. So she was never without it.
Yeah. That's always got to be the first thought of like, who else has access to this? And are they
Right.
pranksters?
And that's exactly
Damn.
what. So the family did wind up looking for help with this. And the first person they went to was the local chief of police. And that's exactly where his mind went. He was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's got to just be like a prankster or something like that, which is logical. So the family was like, all right, bet. You want to stay the night? And he did. He spent the night alone in the mansion. And he prepared for this by sealing all of the windows and the doors with masking tape. He turned off all of the lights and he just kind of sat in a chair with his dog, waiting for someone to try breaking in. And when the family tells this story, they say that the chief of police lasted until around 3 a.m. when he started banging on the owner's door, absolutely terrified. He said that he heard really scary sounds, like footsteps when no one was there, banging sounds with no source, and also, and this is a hallmark of like poltergeist and freaky shit, his dog was going nuts the entire time.
Yeah.
Hackles up, snarling, and that was not in character for this dog. Something was up. It saw something.
Definitely a poltergeist.
So very poltergeisty. So the police were no help. Instead, the family brought in a paranormal investigator. The investigator interviewed the family, checked out the mansion, stayed there for a few nights, and when all was said and done, his official diagnosis was that the hauntings had been triggered by the presence of a gay couple that worked in the gift shop. Yeah,
Classic.
so that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, super great. The family never did wind up getting to the bottom of the poltergeist thing, but there is one more story from this family that I want to share with you because it's about a book that might be cursed.
Okay.
Talk about right up our alley. So the story comes from the aunt in the family, Aunt Annie. One night in October, she was doing a stock take and she was kind of rushing to finish up so that she could get home. And she was crouching down behind the counter when all of a sudden everything went cold. She was hit with a really strong floral scent, something that she would later describe as smelling like old perfume. And then she heard a big bang sound right behind her. So she spun around and saw that a book had fallen to the ground. And the title of the book was A Stranger is Watching.
Oh my God. No, I hate that. Oh my God. Gross. Wait, can I tell you something real quick? Did I tell you about that book that freaked me out that one day at the bookstore?
I don't think so.
Okay, I was having a day where I was just feeling really weird and everything was just like, I don't know. I was standing at the front counter and I was just like watching everyone walk around and I remember thinking, I feel like I'm in a simulation right now. Like something just feels weird and off. And I turn around and there was a book sitting on the counter and it had, I wish I could, I think I took a picture of it. It had a title that said something along the lines of like, if you are reading this book, that means you're not really here, or something like that.
Oh,
it
you did tell me about
I was
this.
gonna say, there's no way
my
I
God.
didn't tell you that. I was freaked
No, you definitely
out.
did. Fuck that.
I literally, I had like a mental breakdown that day. I was so scared.
Oh, dude,
that
no.
specific, obvious, like, so I'm bringing it up because that I like know how she felt in that moment. That is the worst feeling. That is so scary.
That is so terrifying. And like when she's alone too, in this like haunted ass mansion at night in October during spooky season, like just
so scary.
So fucking scary. So she did what any rational person would do, and she ran the hell out of there. She got really, really freaked out by it. And she ran to her car, got in, locked the doors. But when she turned the engine on, she couldn't bring herself to leave. She just sat there. She was overcome with the need to go back inside and get this book. She was fixated on it. Her body would not let her drive away. And so that's what she did. She got the book, took it home, put it on her bookshelf, and that is when she started experiencing strange things in her home. Her husband said that he would burn the book for her in a bonfire because it freaked her out so much. He was just like, I'll burn it. We'll get rid of this evil, whatever. And she was completely fine with that, like gave him her blessing. But a week later, she found the book in their garage. And at first, she was just like, oh, he must have just like forgotten to burn it. No big deal. But when she mentioned it to her husband, he was baffled. He insisted that he had burned it. And to be fair, he could have been lying, or maybe he also found himself compelled to keep the book.
Yeah.
Who knows? But a few years later, Annie's daughter did a school project where she had to interview someone with an interesting story. And so she interviewed Annie about this like weird book thing. And when she turned in the project, her teacher was so enraptured with this story that she asked if she could see the book. And Annie was like, yeah, sure, as long as you give it back, no problem. Handed the book over, and she never saw the book again.
Oh my God.
The teacher made up excuse after excuse until eventually she said that she had just lost the book. But Annie always suspected that the teacher felt just as compelled to keep it as Annie had.
Yeah. What the fuck's going on
Freaky,
with this
right?
book?
I know. I wonder if it just got sick of like the stuffy old mansion and it wanted to be somewhere new amongst new books.
Maybe.
I am intrigued to read this book now. It's by, was it Mary Higgins? Yeah, Mary Higgins Clark is the author's name. And it's like a thriller book.
Yeah, she's like a huge author. She's got like 1 million books.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
This is one of them, and apparently it was cursed.
Oh, weird. That seems like something we could do a whole episode on. She's like a huge author.
Let's do it.
Interesting. I thought it was gonna be some weird ancient text, just by
That's
some
what I
random
thought, like
best-selling
some
author.
like
What the hell?
Necronomicon or like the Hammer of Witches or something like that. No, it was just like a thriller, like at the time a contemporary thriller.
That's literally like saying like you could have said like a Stephen King novel.
Heated rivalry fell off the shelf and
Interesting. Okay. I was not expecting you to say that name. Okay. Interesting. That really, like, the book looks different in my head now. I'm imagining some, like, leather bound, like.
Yes, that's what I pictured too. And then I Googled the book because I was like, oh, I wonder. Yeah. And it was just like the same cover you see on every paperback thriller cover,
Yeah. Okay. Weird. That makes it so much stranger to me.
Super weird. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
We mainly know these stories now because of a guy named William Broom. He was Annie's nephew. He was like the baby of the family. Mm-hmm. And he did share one more very, very short paranormal anecdote about the gift shop that I have to share with you because it just made me laugh. This is a direct quote from his writings on the paranormal experiences. It says, quote, "Granny remembers 2 old ladies walking through the gift shop when one said to the other, 'Grace, did you see that? The teapot just moved across the shelf.' To which Grace responded, 'Mavis, I told you not to have any sherry before we came today, and you've let me down.'"
And you've let me down. That's so good. That's fantastic.
Yeah, made me laugh. That'll be us, except we'll both be drinking sherry.
I know. I was literally just imagining us in that scenario. I don't know who would be who.
Depends on the day.
I know.
On a Tuesday, I can be Mavis. On a Wednesday, you can be Mavis.
Oh my God, that's so funny. And you've let me down.
I know. Just crack me up. So most of the stories that we've talked about today take place a pretty long time ago, but people still report paranormal encounters at Alton Towers to this day, especially in the mansion. Earlier, when we were talking about the legend of the oak tree, I mentioned a ride called Hex. So that ride is located in the mansion's old armory and picture gallery. So it's not just like a mansion that's on the grounds. They like actively use it for rides and stuff, which is wild to me.
Yeah.
And the people who stand in line for this ride often report seeing Victorian era children running around. They also report having things thrown at them, like, for example, rocks.
What the hell?
Yeah, so I'm not getting on this ride.
Yeah. What the F? That's not nice. Is it like the kids throwing the rocks?
I think so. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
Weird.
But I always wonder, when people tell stories about like throwing rocks at things, I always think like, okay, is it a rock or is it like a pebble? Because those are
it's a
very
pebble.
different.
Yeah, it's a pebble.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's got to be a pebble. Like, that's for kids, that's fine. But if a kid threw a whole ass rock at somebody's head, like, Jesus, that's like you shouldn't be in that mansion.
Yeah. No, I feel like well, it depends on the story. I will say any story I've heard where it is like a proper rock that has been specified.
Okay.
Because it's like
we'll assume this
so
was
outrageous.
the pebble. The pebble kids were doing this.
Okay.
People also report seeing a lavender lady in the mansion.
Ooh, I want to do that when I'm dead.
Right? We've had ladies in white, ladies in black, gray ladies. We have not had a lavender lady. Yeah.
Oh.
And she is called this because she is accompanied by the strong scent of lavender.
Ooh, I love that.
And so it made me
Love
wonder,
lavender.
what do I want my ghost to smell like?
Yeah. Ooh.
So we'll give that some thought and then we could talk about it.
Yeah, lavender's a
Maybe
strong
the palette.
contender.
Yeah. I do like that. I also like rose petal. I love rose petal.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. We'll take that one away, brainstorm, and then we'll discuss what we want our after death scents to be. According to reports about the lavender lady, she is incredibly lifelike, and park employees will often think that she's like a park guest who just got lost or accidentally wound up in the wrong area or something. And they'll go over to help her, and she'll just disappear into thin air. Employees report tons of other encounters in the mansion as well. There are stories about staff being shoved from behind by unseen hands. And this one I find so freaky. There are reports of seeing children peeking out from behind boxes and
Dude.
crates.
Listen, we got to talk about peeking for just a second because
Freaky.
just this morning, I have to do this all the time. Phil will like do that to me. Where like
I hate that.
he just did it today. So the way my office is set up, door is that way and the stairs, I can see like the corner of the stairs right outside the door. And so he was coming upstairs and I could hear him coming upstairs. And then all of a sudden it stopped. And I was like, what the fuck? What's he doing? And I look and he's like peeking at me from like on the stairs around the corner. And
That's scary.
he does that to me all the time. And he doesn't mean anything by it, but it's so effing scary because he has very long hair. And so if you've ever seen Haunting of Hill House, he kind of looks like the bent neck lady when he does it. And so he's done it to me at night a couple times, and it's genuinely the most, like, I've started fights over it. And like it's one of those things, he just does it like without thinking. Like he's just like, hello, like he's not trying to be scary, he's just like looking at me. And I'm just like, dude, he just doesn't understand how fucking terrifying he is when he does that. I hate a peek around the corner. I hate it. I hate that feeling so much.
When you don't know, because Tom and I will do that when we know we are next to each other. Like I'll hold up the blanket
Yes,
and peek over.
that's
You know what I
okay.
like cutesy little things like
And
that.
that's
But
what
when
Phil
you don't
thinks
know
he's doing.
someone's there,
Exactly.
no,
That's what Phil
terrifying.
thinks he's doing, and he's not. Because it's that feeling
Come
of
on,
like,
Philip.
it's like you're looking out around the room and you can feel like someone's looking at you, and when you catch the eye, it's like that like feeling. Even if you like know it's there, it's still horrendous. Like it's just horrendous. Oh my god, I hate it.
I mean, lump that in with like that one scene from Insidious and also that scene from Parasite and any scene where there's like something in the background that you don't see until it moves a little bit. Hate that.
Oh my
so
god,
scary.
that's how Hereditary is. If you know, you
That's
know.
Tom
Oh
told
my
me I
God.
should never watch it because of actually no, that's a lie. I think he told me that I should watch it, but that he would tell me the timestamps of when that happens. Or maybe that was you.
I feel like I remember this conversation. I feel like we've had this discussion. Maybe it was me. I feel like we talked about it on the
can't remember.
podcast Was it Hereditary?
Like we did. If only there was a record of the things that we talk about on our podcast.
I know. I scream, you scream, pod at gmail.com. Have we talked about this before? What is happening? Yeah, no, well, this is such a tangent, but that is like the infamous number one scene that I'm like, I feel like once you see that movie, it's like, no movie has made me feel the way we are describing more violently than that one pivotal scene. Because it like takes a second to like figure out what you're looking at.
I don't like any notion that I can't trust my senses.
Ugh, gross. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was an aside.
Speaking of not being able to trust things.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Man, this is a scary place.
It's a very scary place, man. There's a story about a mimic on the grounds of Alton Towers.
Hard no. Absolutely not.
But kind of yes, because I'm going to tell you the story anyway.
Kind of yes, I'm like really intrigued by this.
So just for a little bit of context before I tell you the story proper, they, every year for Halloween, Alton Towers opens up like haunted mazes that run on the property. And one of them is called, not a fan of a haunted maze.
No, listen, literally, sorry, you're just like coming at me with all of my least favorite things right now. I have never once been in a corn maze. I tried to one time and I literally had a panic attack. I will never, I hate it. I hate a maze.
I don't like a maze either. Yeah. Mainly because I'm not good at them. But also I feel like haunted mazes would just scare the absolute daylights out of me.
Yeah. I need to like see my exit if I am like entering into that type of like haunted situation.
Completely agree. Yeah. Like haunted hayride, fine, because I can shut my eyes and wait for it to be over.
Yep,
when I'm in control of my own safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yep. Agreed. So the mimic story, unsurprisingly, comes from one of these mazes. And it actually comes from one of the actors who was employed in the maze. So their job was to be the scary thing in the maze, basically. And the story goes, quote, one of the Mine Tour's hosts mentioned to the manager that they had seen her waving down at them from one of the windows on the upper floor of the ruins above Mine Tours. She was baffled, as she hadn't done this, but brushed it off as her being mistaken for someone else. Over time, more and more of the host team reported that they had seen her in the same window, waving down to them. By this point, she became confused because she wasn't doing this and didn't understand why everyone was saying they'd seen her in the same upstairs window, waving at them. Why would she even be up there in the first place? So eventually, the manager and another colleague decided to investigate and went to find the window she was allegedly waving at the hosts from. They found it, but the room it was in had no floor. There was no possible way for anyone, whether it was her or not, to stand at that window and wave at people.
Oh my God.
Terrifying.
That's stressful.
I don't like that, and my heart needs elevated, so I'm going to wrap this up. So yeah, Alton Towers definitely leans into its haunted reputation. Mm-hmm. It has that hex ride that we talked about with the Chained Oak story. There's Scarefest every year. And last year, in 2025, they offered a VIP ghost tour for Halloween, where you got a 90-minute tour of the ruins with like paranormal investigative equipment and things like that, which sounds really cool. I don't know if they're going to do the same thing this year, but apparently tickets sold out like super fast last year. So I imagine they would because money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thus concludes my episode on Alton Towers.
Man, that was spookier than I was expecting it to be.
I want to visit the ruins.
I was going to say,
I am a little bit scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See
yeah, same.
The tree specifically.
Yeah. Well, when you come visit me, if we drive like 4 hours north.
Yeah.
Just for a little day trip. Yeah. Yeah.
I could do that. Cool. Well, that was horrifying and fascinating. I've never heard of this place.
Well, now you have. I was second guessing myself a little bit because when I was reading all the stuff about Alton Towers, everything, you know how like the marketing speak is, it's like the most impressive theme park in Europe, changed the world for forever. And I was like,
yeah.
And was I like living under a rock for 30 years, having never like heard of this place until I moved here? But you validated me, so thank you.
Well, I feel like I don't know. Americans just don't know about most things outside of America until they leave America. Like,
It's true.
do you know what I mean?
That is true. And
yeah.
also, like, you guys have got Disney, like the two Disney parks. You've got Universal. You've got Six Flags. Like, there are Cedar Point. Like, there's lots of other big amusement parks there. You don't need to know about Alton Towers. Unless you listen to this podcast, in which case you do. Anyway, so now that I have all of those terrifying, horrible things in my brain, you want to give me a scary
Let me put
on top?
another one in there. All right. So this message came from my father. And it's kind of like a story within a story. So bear with me. Okay. So he says, I was recently visiting a friend and we were chatting about a story that he had told me many years ago. As some background, we came of age in the 1960s, early 70s, and hitchhiking was very popular and very normal. It wasn't just a way to get a ride. Some people did it just for fun or to meet people or go somewhere new, whatever. No one ever really worried about any kind of danger. So that's kind of just a preface to this story that happened around 1990. So the following is from Carrie, friend of my father's. Here we go. Okay. He says, I think it was around 1990 sometime. I was living in West Palm Beach, Florida, and spent a lot of time driving to my trailer in Lake Okeechobee, I think is how you say it. I don't know. I don't know anything about Florida. Lake Okeechobee, or sometimes to Jacksonville for work. I was a driver/warehouse manager for a beer distributor at the time. I mention this because with all the driving around, I do not recall exactly what road I was on when I saw her. I do remember I was by myself in my personal car, not the beer truck. I saw this woman hitchhiking, and my first thought was to pick her up, so I started to slow down. We were looking at each other, and I could tell she knew I intended to pick her up. But as soon as I made eye contact, all of a sudden I got this really weird, uncomfortable feeling in my stomach. It felt like something was wrong. In a split-second decision, I kept driving instead of picking her up. I felt really, really bad about it. It felt wrong to leave a woman all by herself on the road. What if someone else with bad intentions decided to pick her up instead? I wrestled with this decision for days, trying to figure out if I had made the right choice. A few days later, I was telling a buddy at the bar that I still felt really bad about not picking her up. It was just stuck with me. I said I hoped that she was okay and that she had found a safe ride. Another guy at the bar overheard what I was saying. He looked pensive for a moment, then slowly slid a newspaper over to me and pointed to a sketch the police had published. He half-jokingly asked if I would feel better if it happened to be her. Turns out it did, because the police sketch of the woman I had seen was of a woman named Eileen Warnos.
No.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the notorious serial killer who was convicted of murdering numerous men who picked her up while hitchhiking.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Didn't that just make your stomach drop?
God.
Yeah. So for just some additional context, this came from the guy, for those of you who have been listening for a while, this friend was the man driving the car that one night that they saw the ghost lady on the road.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he is the other one who also saw the ghost in addition to my dad. He was the one driving. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm glad he didn't pick her up. Jesus.
I know.
That came out. I thought you were going to say she was like a ghost or something, like she was never really there or something. And then when you mentioned the like police sketch, I was like, is this that Eileen lady?
Yeah.
No way. Oh my God.
Yeah. Also, I will say it is alleged that this man's sister also went to Sunday school with Jeffrey Dahmer, which sounds fake, but it could be true because they grew up in West Dallas, which is where Jeffrey Dahmer did his shit. So,
you know, recently someone was asking me where I lived before I lived here, and I said Wisconsin. And they responded with like, I've heard a lot of weird things have happened in Wisconsin. And I was like, yeah, but surprised that made its way overseas. How do you know that?
It's one of those things where like locally, I feel like that's not very much discussed. Like it's really mostly about the beer, brats, and cheese. But I feel like elsewhere, it's more of a, hey, that's a place where all those random ass serial killers are from, right? Because we have a lot. There's a lot of like prolific guys that either are from here or worked here.
You're 100% right, because this same person, within like a beat or two of the conversation, I mentioned Milwaukee's history with like beer brewing, and he had no idea what I was talking about. So the reputation around serial killers does precede the beer industry. Miller would not be happy about that.
I know. Yeah. So, anywho, yeah, this guy, apparently he's just got a really weird track record for chicks on the road while driving.
Dude, yeah. Maybe he should stop driving.
I know, right?
Just in case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kathryn's dad, for sending that.
So anyway, if you have a story, hopefully not like this, hopefully you've never experienced this, but if you have, feel free to let us know. iscreamyouscreampod@gmail.com. And please rate and review us wherever you listen. We love hearing from you guys. And if you want more from us each month, go ahead and join us on Patreon. But until next time, little spoons, keep it cool.
Keep it creepy.